Hi all, welcome to another episode of Sleeping Beauty. In this episode I'm going to describe where the battery box is in this car. You probably remember that things are very tight under the bonnet and so there's just no room for a battery. So when I got the car, the idea the previous owner had was to put the battery under the front left-hand fender or wing of the car. Many people put the battery in the boot or the trunk, and that entails a bit of complication in terms of running a big thick wire to the back of the car. In this circumstance, a plate was fitted underneath onto part of the infrastructure of the car, and my task was to work out how to fit a battery box and a battery. You can't just fit a battery under the wing because of all the mud and stuff that flings up. So the battery has to be in a battery box and the space is fairly tight. So in this episode I'll try and show you what I did and how I fixed the battery box. So anyway, I hope you find this sort of interesting. It's an interesting place to put a battery, and I haven't seen another Mk2 with a battery in this spot. So maybe it's an idea for other people as well. So in under the front left-hand side wing, or fender, or guard, as some people call it, is a battery box which I've made. So underneath here, or down the bottom here, is a plate, and the box sits on that, and the battery goes in the box. And I constructed some rods and whatnot to hold the battery in and also to hold the lid on the box. So that's all really nice and secure now. So I'm quite pleased with all of that. So the positive wire just comes from the battery and goes down to where the isolator is, and then from the isolator off the power goes to the rest of the car. So here's a very rudimentary diagram of my battery box, which is under the front left-hand fender or wing. So you can see an outline of the battery, and there's a base plate that's fixed to one of the frames under the left-hand wing. So what's in yellow here, or yellowy green, is a plastic battery box, and that comes with a lid which is in pink. So what I did is I got 2 lengths of 1/4 inch, which is 6.35 millimeter, threaded rod, and I drilled a hole in the plate that the whole setup's sitting on, a hole in the battery box. I made a strap, which is in green, to hold the battery down, and the threaded rod goes up through the lid, through another strap, and ends up here. So basically what happens is I put the battery in the battery box, sat it on the base plate, put the threaded rod, which goes down through the lid, through the top strap, through the lid, through the strap that holds the battery on, through the bottom of the battery box, through the base plate, and then I've just got a nut which holds the threaded rod, the 1/4 inch threaded rod on the bottom, and then another nut which holds the strap or secures the strap, which goes across the battery, top of the battery. And then after that I put the lid on, the pink lid. Then I put the strap on to hold the lid, and then there's a nut on each side. So basically there's the battery box, the battery box lid, and 2 1/4 inch threaded rods with appropriate nuts to hold it all together. The space under the front left-hand wing or fender is pretty tight, so as it turned out, the battery couldn't be centered on the center line of the box. It had to be slightly towards the outside of the car, which is that way. And so I had to be pretty careful measuring up. And the critical part was where the two 1/4-inch rods went. And so the battery was 170 wide, so therefore the centre line of the two bolts, two threaded rods, had to be 176. So you got 3 there and 3 there. And so basically the battery box sits on the plate, and then the rods come up and come up, and the battery sits there. So it's a fairly rudimentary diagram, but it's actually quite accurate, and the graph paper is quite helpful actually. So when you're doing this sort of project, it does help to spend a little bit of time making a diagram. Because the battery is under the front passenger side wing fender, so the left hand side, I can't easily get the battery leads on and off. So this is where having an isolator comes in really handy. So all I need to do is turn this like that, and that isolates the whole car from the battery. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I think having the battery under the front left-hand fender is a very clever solution. I didn't have any room under the bonnet for the battery, and I wasn't that keen on having it in the boot or the trunk. So I think the main thing is, if you're going to have the battery under the fender, just make sure you've got an isolator, because the battery is not very easy to disconnect if something goes wrong. So anyway, I'll see you next time.